Welcome back to the archives. You think you know what silence sounds like, don't you? You think silence is just the absence of noise, a peaceful void where you can finally think, but deep down, buried in the oldest part of your brain, you know that isn't tough. Real silence is heavy. It has a weight that presses against your eardrums. And sometimes, if you are very unlucky, that silence is replaced by something much worse. Something that sounds like the universe itself is glitching. Let's talk about the places you think are safe. Those temples of glass and neon where you spent your youth. The shopping mall. It is designed to be a paradise of commerce, full of cheap food, bright colors, and the comforting murmur of a crowd. But have you ever stayed too long? Maybe you lost track of time. Maybe you wandered down a corridor looking for a restroom. And when you came back, the crowd was gone. The shutters were down. The pop music had cut out. That is the moment of the shift. The air changes. It smells like old carpet and ozone. The shadows stretch out just a little too far, and then you hear it. It starts as a low drone, barely noticeable at first. The hum of 1,000 cheap fluorescent lights struggling to stay on. It vibrates in your teeth. It scratches at the back of your neck. If you are standing in an empty mall, looking at a storefront that you don't remember being there yesterday, and you hear that buzzing, listen to me very carefully. Do not take another step forward. You are standing on a precipice. You are on the edge of a reality that is hungry, endless, and entirely indifferent to your life. You are about to clip out of bounds. You think you are just lost. You think that if you just retrace your steps, turn left at the food court, or go back down the escalator, you will find the exit doors. You believe you will step back out into the cool night air and the safety of the parking lot. But the architecture has betrayed you. The geometry of the world you knew has dissolved. You are no longer in a shopping mall. You are no longer in a place built by human hands for human purposes. Look at the walls. Really look at them. That wallpaper. It is a shade of yellow that should not exist in nature. It is the color of old bruises, of jaundice, of decaying parchment. It is a mono-yellow madness that stretches on forever. There are no patterns here that your mind can latch onto. The deeper you walk, the more you realize that the layout is chaotic. Rooms lead into rooms that lead back into the same rooms. Corridors stretch out for miles only to end in blank walls. Staircases go up to ceilings. Doors open into solid concrete. This is not a building. It is a glitch. It is a segmented reality that has forgotten how to be real. We call this level 0 in the archives. We refer to it as the lobby. But do not let that name fool you. A lobby implies a destination. A lobby implies that you are waiting to go somewhere else. Here, the waiting is the only thing that exists. Let me quote from a recovered audio log found on a device that washed up in a digital dead zone near a server farm in Nevada. The metadata dates it to 1998. The voice belongs to a man named Arthur, a night watchman who vanished during a shift at a retail complex that was being demolished. The audio is distorted, heavy with static, but the panic is crystal clear. Arthur says, "It smells like rain, but old rain. Like a basement that flooded 10 years ago and never dried out. The carpet. God, the carpet is moist. I can feel the water squishing into my boots." That is the detail that breaks the mind, isn't it? The moist carpet. It is a sensory violation. Why is it wet? What is the liquid? It is not water. It is a fluid generated by the walls themselves, a stagnant excretion of this dying dimension. And then there is the buzzing. In the intro, I told you it was a warning. Now I will tell you what it actually is. That sound, the hum of those fluorescent lights, is not electricity. We have analyzed the frequency. It sits right at the edge of human perception, a constant drone that vibrates the fluid in your inner ear. It is designed to prevent sleep. It is designed to prevent thought. If you stay in the yellow rooms for more than 48 hours, the sound begins to change. It stops being a noise outside of you and starts coming from inside your skull. It rewires your nervous system. You start to hear voices in the static. You hear your mother calling your name. You hear the sound of your own breathing amplified 1,000 times. The lights flicker, but they never burn out. They are eternal, watching you with a cold, electric hate. Let's go deeper into the evidence. In 2019, a thread appeared on a forum dedicated to urban exploration. A user claimed to have found a noclip zone in a terrified frenzy. He described a creature. He didn't see a face. He didn't see eyes. He saw a shape that looked like tangled wire, or perhaps dried black biological waste, standing perfectly still at the end of a long yellow hallway. This entity is known in our files as the bacteria. It is not a ghost. It is not a demon in the biblical sense. It is the immune system of the backrooms. Think about it. You are the foreign object. You are the virus. You are a biological entity made of meat and bone wandering through a structure made of impossible math. The backrooms wants to purge you. The entity does not hunt by sight. The yellow walls are too bright. There are no shadows to hide in. It hunts by sound. It tracks the rhythm of your heart. It listens for the scuff of your shoes on the damp carpet. And the most terrifying part? It mimics. The archives hold accounts of travelers hearing a human voice crying for help just around the corner. Is anyone there, please? I'm hurt. You run toward it, desperate for connection, desperate to see another human face. But when you turn the corner, there is no person. There is only the wireframe monster towering over you, vibrating with that same electric hum. The space itself is hostile. It is vast. Some estimates say 600 million square miles of segmented, empty rooms that is larger than the surface of the earth. You could walk for 1,000 lifetimes and never see the same room twice. Yet every room looks exactly the same. This is the definition of hell, not fire and brimstone, but infinite monotony. The preservation of the body, but the total erosion of the mind. There is a concept called liminality. It is the state of being between two places. An airport at 3 a.m., a school hallway during summer break. These places feel wrong because they are empty of their purpose. The backrooms is the ultimate liminal space. It is a place that shouldn't exist, filled with things that shouldn't be alive. And the worst part of the evidence? We have found traces of encampments, small, desperate forts made of ripped-up carpet and ceiling tiles, scratched markings on the wall counting the days. People have survived here for weeks, for months, living on the almond water found in crates, hiding from the wire monsters. But look closely at the writing on the walls in these camps. It starts as English, "Help me, day 4, I miss the sun." But as the days go on, the writing changes. It becomes scribbles, circles, then it becomes just frantic lines dug into the drywall with fingernails until they broke. They didn't die of hunger. They didn't die of thirst. They died because the buzzing took what was left of their humanity. They forgot who they were. They forgot that there was ever a world outside of the yellow wallpaper. You are listening to me now, safe in your room, perhaps with headphones on. You think this is just a story, but look at the corner of your vision. Is that wall a little too yellow? Is that light bulb humming a little too loudly? The boundaries between our world and theirs are thinner than you think. It doesn't take a ritual to get there. It doesn't take a spaceship. All it takes is a trip, a slip, a fall in the wrong direction. You lean against a wall that isn't solid. You step through a floor that isn't there. And suddenly, the music stops. The people vanish. And the smell of old, wet carpet fills your lungs. The most terrifying truth about this place isn't the monsters. It isn't the yellow wallpaper or the damp carpet. It isn't even the fact that you can wander for eternity without finding a drop of fresh water. The true horror is what happens to your mind when the hope finally dies. You see, the backrooms doesn't just want to kill you. If it wanted you dead, it would simply collapse the ceiling or remove the oxygen. No, this dimension feeds on something far more potent than flesh. It feeds on your despair. It feeds on that specific agonizing moment when you realize you are never going home. Let me tell you about the Wretches. In the archives, we often find journals left behind by travelers who have been stuck in the yellow maze for months. The handwriting in the beginning is always the same. It is frantic. It is full of plans. I will go north. I will find a staircase. I will survive. But as you flip the pages, the tone shifts. The hunger takes over. But it's not a normal hunger. The buzzing noise of the lights begins to vibrate in their bone marrow. They stop sleeping, because every time they close their eyes, they see the geometry of the room shifting. Eventually, they stop looking for an exit. They stop acting like human beings. They succumb to the environment. We call this the wretched cycle. It starts with the skin. It begins to turn pale, waxy, and thick, mimicking the texture of the wallpaper itself. The hair falls out, the eyes once full of fear and intelligence become clouded and red. They lose the ability to speak language. They can only make sounds that mimic the environment, low groans, clicking noises, or the sound of tearing carpet. These creatures you run from, the ones lurking in the shadows, they are not demons from hell, they are previous travelers. They are people who clipped out of reality in 1990, or 2005, or yesterday. They are the lost souls who gave up. When you look at a wretch, you are looking at your own future. You are looking at what happens when the human spirit is ground down by infinite monotony. They attack you, not out of malice, but out of jealousy. They want to tear apart anything that still reminds them of the world they lost. And this brings us back to the mall. Why does this phenomenon trigger so often in shopping centers? Why are malls the primary gateway to the backrooms? Think about what a mall is. It is a temple of artificiality. It is a space designed to confuse you, to make you lose track of time, so you spend more money. No windows, no clocks, just bright lights and endless corridors of consumption. We built these places to escape reality. We built them to be safe, climate-controlled bubbles where we could ignore the rain and the dark. The backrooms is simply the universe giving us exactly what we asked for. You wanted a world without nature. Here is 600 million miles of drywall. You wanted a world of eternal light. Here are fluorescents that never turn off. You wanted to be lost in the experience. You will never be found again. The backrooms is a dark reflection of our modern world. It is the ghost of capitalism, stripped of the products and the people, leaving only the empty shell of the structure. It is a purgatory of our own design. So, here is my final warning to you. The next time you are in a large, public building, pay attention. If the air suddenly goes still, if the sounds of the crowd fade away, leaving only a thick, heavy silence, if you turn a corner and see a hallway that looks just a little too long, with a flickering light at the end, stop. Do not let curiosity guide you. Do not assume it is just a maintenance corridor. Close your eyes, hold your breath, count to 10, anchor yourself to reality. Remind yourself of who you are, what your name is, and where you came from. Turn around slowly. Walk back exactly the way you came. Do not run. Predators love it when things run. Just walk. If you are lucky, you will hear the sound of the world return. You will hear a car horn, a child crying, or the hum of a vending machine. You will step through a door and find yourself back in the rain, back in the messy, loud, dangerous real world. And you will never love that ugly, chaotic world more than you do in that moment. But if you turn around and the hallway is still there, if the yellow wallpaper stretches out forever and the smell of moist carpet fills your nose, then I am sorry. The buzzing is the last thing you will ever hear. Stay in the light, traveler, but make sure it's the light of the sun and not the hum of the fluorescent tubes. Vector out.